is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going. What is good, YouTube? I just made a Clint Capela video not even 24 hours ago, and here I am back in the studio making a Clint Capela video because he's the best player in the trade. And I really didn't know what they was going to do. I really didn't know what direction they was going to go in. We just knew that he was part of the trade talks. So obviously you guys know it by now, but for the people who don't or that just want to hear my analysis on it, Clint Capela and Robert Covington are a part of a 4-team deal involving the Houston Rockets, Minnesota Timberwolves, Denver Nuggets, and Atlanta Hawks. The Houston Rockets receive Covington and Jordan Bell in the deal, so they get that person from the Timberwolves and Jordan Bell to basically probably make their salaries match. The Hawks get a big center in Capela. They was going after guys like Steven Adams and other bigs, looking for somebody to pair with Trae Young, and then you look at they also got Nene. The Timberwolves receive Malik Beasley, Juan Herman Gomez, Evan Turner, Jared Vanderbilt, and a 2020 first-round pick from Atlanta via the Brooklyn Nets. The Nuggets also get Gerald Green, who won't be able to play this year, unfortunately, because of injury. Noah Vonleh, a guy that I feel was a bad fit for the Wolves, and I don't think they really needed him. Shabazz Napier is a quality backup in the NBA. Keita Bates-Diop is a guy that's improving, but may not crack the rotation in Denver because they're so deep. And they get a first-round pick from Houston. And Green will also waive his trade veto to complete the deal. But like I said, he most likely won't play because of the injury. So this is a bigger trade than what we thought it would be because it's so many teams in it, and it's picks involved, it's role players involved, it's injured players involved, and it really kind of makes sense for the teams. You know, Malik Beasley was a guy that was hungry, really had a coming out party last year because of injuries to certain players on this Denver Nuggets team. They didn't want to pay him because they still have to pay other people on their team. Plus, they still got to figure out how their roster rotation is going to be after this season because they have proven that they're one of the best teams in the West the last 2 years. And now it's just about finding ways to better your roster and finding ways to keep this main nucleus intact, which is basically Michael Porter, guys like Jokic and Jamal Murray, who they already paid. And Porter obviously is on a rookie scale deal, but he will still be restricted even if they can't reach a contract agreement in the future. They can always just match it at the end of the day, so he might not go anywhere. But Beasley was a guy that a lot of people wanted to see free. They feel like he can really be a good piece. He can really be valuable, and he has a lot of upside and potential. So I'm not surprised that he got moved because he wasn't really getting any clock at all this season on Denver. Like I said, because they are so deep. So that made sense for Denver to try to get something for him. Shabazz Napier, I was a little surprised, but I think he was just in there like Gerald Green and them just to make the salaries match. They also did get a first-round pick from Houston, which most likely ain't going to be that good, but it's still good to get something back. And a lot of these guys they can just waive or get rid of and just keep the salary and use the money on somebody else if you're Denver. But like I said, it is pretty good to get some quality role players if you decide to keep them, which I doubt, and you do get the pick from Houston. When you look at it from the Timberwolves' perspective, they got something for Covington because he was a hot commodity, and they was able to get a 2020 first-round pick from Atlanta via Brooklyn. So that's a real good, valuable pick to me, especially because the Timberwolves got off to a good start, but they cannot make the playoffs, and they really struggle. So they need to switch some things up. They need to try some new things because obviously the nucleus and the key players to this team isn't getting the job done, and they can't stay healthy. So you get a guy in Malik Beasley, like I said, that has potential, a lot of upside. Plus you get Hernan Gomez, who can play. He just got buried under the Nuggets rotation, and if they do decide to keep these two young players, they can really be important pieces to this Minnesota team. And they're guys that's hungry. They love to play. They love to go out there and compete. Those are the young guys that you want. And Minnesota got two of them in this trade. Evan Turner, he won't be around long, in my personal opinion, with the Timberwolves. So don't really think about that. His contract is very overpaid right now. He barely can get any time on the court when he's healthy, and he just hasn't panned out like teams that have paid him in the past 2 to 3 years. He just hasn't been what we thought he would be coming out the draft. Even though he did hang around in the league, he's just a guy that might be out of the league if he doesn't add to his game or switch it up a little bit. But he is a guy that can play, but his value is starting to deteriorate as he stay longer in the league. Vanderbilt, not very important in this trade, but his name is worth mentioning considering that Minnesota might want to try him out a little bit or even put him in the G League. If not, he can be a young prospect that they can, just get money from. Then you look at the Hawks, they get Clint Capela, who's the biggest guy in this trade to me, a guy that can rebound, that can be a decent rim protector, can switch a little bit. And they need somebody that can really anchor their defense, which they haven't been able to find. John Collins, as you know, is not a great defender, not a great switch defender, not a great rotation defender, not a great help defender. And Clint Capela can do the dirty work. And like I said, and you've seen a lot of analysts say, the NBA is getting bigger. Everybody's talking about the depth of the big man, and they took it off the All-Star ballot. Teams are getting bigger. Teams are, you looking at the West, you look at the teams in the East. A lot of these teams have bigs, and a lot of them at worst have Clint Capela type bigs. And Atlanta need rebounding help. They need somebody that can contest the paint and give them some athleticism and some spunk. And I haven't seen that from them. And I was one of the first persons to say it. They need a big. Trae Young is an excellent prober, always keeping his dribble alive, always putting pressure on the defense, always finding holes in the defense to stop and pop and pull up or hit him with a floater. This is a guy that can pull up from anywhere, and you have to pay attention to him or he's going to find the open guy or he's going to find the open spot in the court and take a quality shot. That's one thing I would definitely give Trae Young a lot of credit on from Summer League. I watched him in Summer League too, so when I was at Summer League watching him, I seen that he was very confident. It just he didn't have the strength to me, and he just didn't have the consistency. That's something that's no longer a case. This guy gets high volume, high quality shots, whether John Collins plays or not. He still has been efficient for his size and athleticism, and he has been an all-star starting caliber player, putting up the numbers. His team just isn't good enough, and that's just how it is. But one of their biggest flaws is rebound and defense. Clint Capela is not a defensive player of the year, but he's better than what they got. This is a team that was hurt because Dwayne Dedmon was a good piece for this team last year, and they needed a guy like him. And Clint Capela, not as versatile offensively, but he's better in that inside. And you can have John Collins step out, hit a mid-range jumper, hit a spot up three from time to time, and he can play off the ball. And Trae Young can too. He can knock down threes, and even if you want him to have the ball in his hand, Clint Capela is always moving. He's always setting screens. He's always around that paint. And if you ain't paying attention to him, he'll roll to the rim and get a lob, get a dunk, or even just get a drop off and finish. So Clint Capela is a guy that doesn't demand too much attention, doesn't act unprofessional. He's a guy that's a winner. Whatever you need him to do, that's what he's going to go out and do. And he's going to play hard. He's going to do his job as a center, and he's going to try to do everything he can to help this team win. And that's what they need. They needed a guy like that. That's why I felt like Steven Adams would have been the perfect fit for the Hawks, but they ended up going with Capela. It's going to cost them a lot of money, though, because Capela makes a lot of money. And another thing is he's not that old. I think that's another thing that if they can keep Clint Capela, he's a great fit. He can build with the Hurters and the DeAndre Hunters and the Cam Reddish and the Trae Youngs because he's still in his mid-20s and he's under contract for a couple more years. So not only did the Rockets get out of Clint Capela contract, he actually went to a team that needs him and that he fits in perfectly with on paper and how we think theoretically he should be a perfect fit alongside Trae Young and his team because they're basically trying to space out the whole floor and, have Trae Young probing and coming off screens so he can get that floater, that layup, get to the free throw line, or they're going to have to, trap him or that leaves somebody open, or it, get all the way to the basket, lob it, and dump it off to Capella. But not only that, this is a guy that can come off the screens and hit threes. So he puts so much pressure on the defense that it's going to be just like Russell and Harden, and that's a perfect fit. He was a perfect fit in Houston. It's just he never really could get. They could never really get over the hump, so they got to try something new and shake things up. And Clint Capella was the best asset, like we all said, that they really have, and he was able to get them Robert Covington, which we'll talk about now. I'm not the biggest Robert Covington fan. I feel like he's a little overrated. People have been saying that a lot now, but I said it a couple days ago. Covington is not what you think he is. He's going to play defense to the best of his ability, but he's not an all NBA defender. Just to be honest, I know the Houston fans not going to like it, but Houston fans been riding with me from day one, and they know that I keep it real. Robert Covington is a little overrated right now. Every time you see a trade or every time you ask who's available for trade, you always see Covington as one of those players that people always bring up. And just like I was talking about the other video, it's just because he's on a great contract. He's on a great contract, and for his skills, this guy is only shooting 34% from three in Minnesota. He's only shooting 43% from the field. He's giving you 12.8 points, 6 rebounds. Those are quality numbers, but you know, Robert Covington isn't going to be a championship changing player. That's not who he is. Is he a quality player? Yeah. Can he defend multiple positions? Yeah. He's not going to stop Kawhi Leonard because they're in the West. He's not stopping Kawhi Leonard. He's not stopping LeBron James. So if you think that you think that they trading Clint Capela for a guy that's going to be a perfect fit, yeah, offensively, but nobody on the Rockets play defense besides Tucker and Capella's gone. He can put in that three position, and then you don't have to worry about having Eric Gordon undersized at that position. Ben McLemore is undersized at that position. You get a guy that can play it. You get a guy that can shoot threes, but he's not a 40% three-point shooter. His defense is not all NBA. It's not elite, but he is a quality player on a fair contract. And if it don't work, he is tradable. But he reminds me of Ariza, a guy that can make some defensive plays. He can, catch people off guard. He can have hot nights from the three-point line, and he's on a contract that a lot of people will take in if it doesn't work because he's not overpaid and he's not underpaid. Plus, you know what he is. Robert Covington is a 3-and-D guy. That's something that even the casual fan knows, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to really change the Rockets culture and really be that missing piece that take the Rockets to the next level. That's not that guy. And that's why I feel like he's a little overrated because people continually, time after time after time, bring up Covington in trade talks and he never really does anything. They had him on the Sixers, they traded him. Then he went to Minnesota. He didn't make a difference. The Timberwolves was terrible all year. And even when he did play, he was a quality fit with Wiggins and Towns, but they never went anywhere. Jimmy Butler got them to the playoffs. Robert Covington hasn't done that. And I don't really think him in his Houston system, it might be a perfect fit offensively, but I don't really see him being a big difference maker. So if I had to keep it real with the Rockets fans, I will keep Daryl Morey in the back of my head as I sleep and as I wake up from Wednesday, which is now, to Thursday to 3 o'clock is when the trade deadline ends, and really see if he got another move up his sleeve because the Rockets have been mediocre this year. I had the Rockets finishing first in the West just because I feel like D'Antoni with Russell running the break and being able to push the ball plus having the whole floor spread out with shooters, you would think that that would be a good recipe for success, but it hasn't been that case. Harden's been struggling. Russell struggled in the beginning. Now he's starting to figure it out. And then they undersized. They're not rebounding the way they need to. And guys hasn't just performed. And injuries didn't help that either. But I really want to see if the Rockets got another move because if their biggest move is Covington and Jordan Bell, who is a raw player. Jordan Bell is not a guy that should be getting major minutes. He's not a guy that you should really rely on. But I will say is he can fit this offense perfectly because all he has to do is finish around the rim and catch a damn lob and set a screen, which he did in Golden State, but he never was a guy that went out and got a max contract. They let him go, and he basically signed for nothing. So Jordan Bell isn't this amazing center that can replace Clint Capela in everything he does. He's a downgrade under Capela, honestly, and they have Tyson Chandler on the roster, but he's not the elite defender. He's not the rim protector and the rebounder that they need. And I don't feel like Jordan Bell is going to be that guy either. But they have plugged in people like Ashik. They have plugged in people like we seen last year with Kenneth Fareed, and they was fine. But those rosters never got to the final. So I really want to know what Daryl Morey is going to do because Russell's in his 30s, Harden is in his 30s. You only got so much time left to figure this thing out while they're playing at their level. And Russ just now started getting hot. James Harden looking a lot better, but they still don't look like a contender in the Western Conference at this point. And I don't think Covington and Bills is going to fix that. So if I'm a Rockets fan, I'm hoping for one more trade that we don't expect. Like we seen this trade come together. If not, this is going to be a disappointing season for the Houston Rockets. If they don't get to the finals, you failed. If they don't get to the Western Conference Finals, that's even worse. But they got to figure this stuff out quick. Remember, we already passed halfway through the season, and the Rockets haven't been able to get it together. And Covington, I don't believe is going to change that, and neither is Jordan Bell. But when you look at this team and you look at the teams that's involved in this trade, all these moves does make sense. But at the same time, none of these moves make these teams significantly better this season. Maybe in the future because of cap space. Maybe in the future if Trae Young and them can gravitate together and build off what they do this year and take it into training camp, take it into preseason, and get it right when a season start and stay healthy, okay, John Collins missed so many games because of the suspension. Now you get a healthy John Collins. Trae Young should be better. Clint Capella have more time with the team because he has the rest of the season to figure it out. Okay, that sounds good. Same with Denver. They don't really need more talent outside of a superstar talent. But other than that, there's no way that Denver can get significantly better unless they get another superstar, which we haven't seen available at this point in time that we know of. And right now, this was a smart move for them, but it really didn't make them worse or better. And I think the Hawks got better, but like I said, we still got to see how it works. And Houston, to me, they downgraded. I feel like Clint Capella is better than Covington and Jordan Bell, but what they're trying to do offensively and what they're trying to do as a team, Covington might fit their new direction that they're trying to go full in. And we have to see how the results is. But right now, this is a trade that's okay. This is a trade that's not blowing my mind. It's not making me go crazy, but it is a trade that can really impact 2 to 3 years from now the future of all these teams, and that's the thing that's going to matter. But we don't really know what's going to happen until 2 to 3 years from now. But thanks for watching. Thanks for liking if you did in advance. Thanks for continuing to support the channel. Thanks for buying the merchandise. Thanks for liking on Facebook. Thanks for watching the video anyway, whether you liked it or not or watched it to this point. I appreciate it. Quinn Wade, Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. And remember, I read every comment, so don't be afraid to leave them because I read all of them. Thanks.